Imagine a world split in two, where every aspect of life is influenced by an invisible line. One side champions freedom and democracy, celebrating the rights of the individual. The other promotes equality through communism, striving for a classless society. This was the defining struggle of the Cold War, a period marked by intense rivalry. It was a war unlike any other, fought not on battlefields but in the realms of ideology, technology, and global influence, where every advancement was a statement of power. For nearly half a century, the United States and the Soviet Union engaged in a high-stakes standoff, each side wary of the other's next move. The threat of nuclear annihilation loomed large, casting a shadow over the entire globe. Every move, every word, carried the potential for global catastrophe, making diplomacy a delicate dance. The Cold War was a clash of titans, each possessing devastating military might and the will to use it if necessary. The United States, with its capitalist economy and democratic principles, stood as a beacon of individual liberty and economic opportunity. On the other side of the Iron Curtain, the Soviet Union, a communist superpower, sought to spread its ideology of a classless society where the state controlled all aspects of life. This fundamental ideological divide lay at the heart of the conflict, influencing global politics and everyday lives. It shaped the destinies of nations and left an indelible mark on the world, the effects of which are still felt today. The Cold War was not a war of armies clashing in open battle, but a war fought in the shadows. Instead, it was a war of ideas, of espionage, and of proxy conflicts fought in distant lands, where the superpowers tested each other's resolve. It was a war of nerves, where fear and suspicion were potent weapons, and trust was a rare commodity. The world held its breath as these two superpowers engaged in a dangerous dance, each seeking to outmaneuver the other, knowing that a single misstep could lead to disaster. The seeds of the Cold War were sown in the aftermath of World War II, a conflict that left much of Europe in ruins and the world in a state of flux. The US and the Soviet Union, once allies against Nazi Germany, emerged from the conflict as the world's two dominant powers, each with their own vision for the future. However, their wartime alliance was one of convenience, masking deep ideological differences and growing mistrust that would soon come to the forefront. The Soviet Union, under the leadership of Joseph Stalin, sought to expand its influence across Eastern Europe, seeing an opportunity to spread communism. Stalin viewed the war-ravaged region as a buffer zone against potential future aggression, a protective barrier against the West. He installed communist regimes in countries like Poland, Hungary, and Czechoslovakia, solidifying Soviet control over Eastern Europe. These actions alarmed the United States, which saw the spread of communism as a direct threat to its own security and the stability of the world order. In 1947, U.S. President Harry Truman articulated the Truman Doctrine, a pivotal policy that would define America's Cold War strategy for decades to come. The Truman Doctrine pledged U.S. support for free peoples resisting communist subjugation, marking a significant shift in American foreign policy. It marked the beginning of the Containment policy, aimed at preventing the further spread of Soviet influence and maintaining global stability. This policy, heavily influenced by George Kennan's Long Telegram, cast the Cold War as a battle between two diametrically opposed ideologies, capitalism and communism. The ideological battle lines were drawn, setting the stage for a global confrontation. The United States, championing capitalism and democracy, stood as the defender of the free world, promoting individual freedoms and market economies. The Soviet Union, promoting communism and a centrally controlled economy, sought to challenge the existing world order and spread its ideology. The world watched as these two superpowers embarked on a collision course, their rivalry shaping the course of history and influencing global politics for generations to come. Espionage and psychological warfare played pivotal roles during the Cold War. Both sides engaged in covert operations, spying, and intelligence gathering to outmaneuver each other. It was a time when secrets were currency, and misinformation was a weapon. The era saw the rise of iconic spies and double agents whose actions could shift the balance of power. The Cold War's reach extended far beyond the borders of the US and the Soviet Union, affecting nearly every corner of the globe. It influenced global politics, economics, and even culture, leaving a lasting legacy on international relations. Nations around the world were drawn into the conflict, aligning with one superpower or the other, often out of necessity. Proxy wars erupted in various regions, and international alliances like NATO and the Warsaw Pact were formed, shaping military strategies. The Cold War reshaped the world order in ways that are still felt today, influencing modern geopolitics and international policies. The legacy of the Cold War is etched in time. It left an indelible mark on history, shaping the geopolitical landscape of the 20th century. The arms race, space race, and the pervasive fear of nuclear annihilation defined an era, but it also led to significant technological advancements and a renewed focus on diplomacy. The lessons learned from this period continue to influence international relations and our understanding of global security.